Alright, so this is going to be how we set up our electrical file. But since I didn't really record myself setting up the mechanical piping, and the plumbing files, I may go back and do the plumbing file. I wanted to at least go back and review what my end result with that I was after, because I'm looking to do a different kind of drawing than's typically done. We've all seen them where they almost look like black spaghetti all over the page and you can't really understand anything. Now granted, what this first sheet is doing is basically explaining to me everything that's in this file. Okay, so what's in this file, this is every object that's drawn in this file. I have none of my Revit links on. I just turned them all off. And to give you an idea of how I actually do this, let's tile this for a second. Okay, because typically what I'm going to do now is when I'm in a meeting with people who aren't Revit people, I'll have a coordination model open. Okay, see, so what happens is if I've then indicated that there's some issues with these couple lines right back here, I can simply select these two objects and I can go to with my center roller wheel. I activated this coordination view, and then I type in BX for section box. You see that didn't select it. Let's try that again. So I'm going to turn my section box off. Let's turn this section box off. We want to select this object and this object, and then I'm going to go to this view. See, now it's bold up here. They really messed this up with the tabs. It's very hard to tell which tab you're in sometimes, but now I can type in that BX and it would take me right to the location that has everyone's information on. Okay, so now I can look at other disciplines. You see, I have the electrical turned on, and I have the plumbing turned on, and I have the structural turned on. And see, it's really best if you do that to show people where the problems are. And we're going to end up setting up an RFI box and come up with a whole new process. But what I wanted to do, if I come back here to this, is I just wanted to show you the views, the sheets that I have set up. Okay, so the idea is my cover sheet's going to show me everything that's actually drawn. I'll probably put some additional schedules on here so that I can know my linear feet of pipe and duct and whatnot. We'll look at that in another video, but I just want to flip through just my sheets. So this is everything that I've got in my mechanical file that goes underground. So it's a relatively boring because there's only a couple pipes that actually go underground, but it allows me to visualize that. So this one is everything that's on my first floor. Okay, and on top of that, up to the first floor plenum. Okay, so this takes me from my first floor up to essentially my second floor and shows me. Now I'm going to end up cleaning this up. Okay, and it probably wouldn't be a bad idea because see, what's happened here is I also have other pipes on. Okay, see, so these solid colored pipes are the pipes that are in here in my actual file. And what I want to do is I want to make my fire protection and all of these other pipes, all these other disciplines not be in color. I only want my objects in color. So the way I've done that with some of it is with a view filter. Okay, and you can see I'm probably not in that view. Let's get in that view. No, I am in that view. Okay, so what's happened is I set this up in subsequent families or in subsequent projects, but I did not go back and do it into my mechanical yet. So that's going to be one of those reasons that I'll open another file, which I'm going to go ahead and do, and then I'll show you how I wrote that view filter. All right, so I changed my mind. I figured I'd actually let's apply those filters and get that to clean up. I guess I just didn't go back in and do this. So it wouldn't be you know, I told you we were going to set up the electrical. We may end up basically just cleaning up the mechanical. So for the mechanical, it makes the first thing that we have lots of problems with. I'm going to get to those pipes in a second because that's a little more sophisticated. But have you ever had a project where you link in and all the other grid lines are turned on, and you might try to do go into the Revit links and change this host view and turn off levels and turn off grids? Here's how I've ended up developing to do that. So I've actually written a view filter that's called non-active grids. Let's see if it's in here. It is not. All right. So I'm surprised it's not in here. I thought I would have purged that. I think I might have the wrong file open. I guess I was having a little bit of a brain spasm. I'd actually put the non-active grids and levels already on, and what's happening is I realized that I've done a naming. So what happens is on non-active grids and levels, if I edit that filter, you're going to see that that goes and gets all grids and all levels whose type name does not begin with mechanical, MECH. However, I didn't realize that mechanical piping, it's turned on. So that filter needs to be cleaned up a little bit. I need to do something with my mechanical piping to set it apart, which I don't think should be too big a problem. But another one of the ones that I like to add is one for insulation. Okay, this insulation is for all pipe and duct installation, and what I typically do is I've been making this a gray color. I've also been giving it a pattern of dashed, and then I like to give it a transparency of about 80%. And what you're going to see is now we'll only see the insulation as a dotted line. Now realize this is at a quarter scale, so and that those are relatively small pipes, but you can see now all my insulation has been turned that way. Now sometimes I like to, I don't know if you can see, there's a slight blue in there on that filter. You can also give it a pattern, and if you give it a, let's say, gray color, sometimes I'll even do white as a solid fill. What that's going to allow you to do is get rid of that slight blue in there and turn that to a gray. So now I can see where my insulation is. But once again, what I'd really like to do is I'd like to turn off, you can see that the pipes from other parts of this project, like this one right here, which is coming from my mechanical piping, which, like I said, I have to do some renaming to get those, to change those levels so that they turn off. But what I'd like to do is everything that's not in my discipline, I'd rather it not be colored. I'd rather it be gray. Well, that ends up getting to be a little bit of a challenge. What we're going to do is we could write one that simply, in the beginning, what I was doing was I would write a filter for fire protection lines, and I would turn them gray. And then I would write another one for sanitary lines and turn them gray. I've got a different way that's a little more efficient. Okay, and what it requires is this. It requires me to understand what kinds of pipes I actually have in this project. So if I just go to my typical pipe schedule, which I'm just going to duplicate, and then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to say window tile. So I have this schedule. Now I want to write this schedule for me working. All I want to know out of this, let's see if we maybe unhide all columns. Oh, so we can see what's there. We don't need the insulation. We don't need the length. We could either hide those columns. All I really want to know is what the system type is. Is that correct? No. Let's see what we want to know. We want to know, I guess since we've duplicated this, what I would probably do is I would probably say I don't need the length, I don't need the insulation. I'd like to leave my count on there. I don't need my diameter, but I do need something more about this pipe, and that is what system. It's going to be something named system. What system classification? Let's see what that kicks up, and we'll put that right in the front, and we're going to say that we are only going to sort by that system classification, then maybe by the system abbreviation. Let's see how that looks. So you can see the only thing that we have for pipes is hydronic returns, hydronic supplies, and these pipes somehow have both systems on it, which that's a little bit interesting. But we'll also see this allows me to see, oh, why do I have one sanitary line and one vent line? Well, if I come over here and I go back to that 3D view, I could actually come over here to the sanitary, and I could say, I can see it right there. There's a little pipe right there that's probably of the wrong class. See, that's part of sanitary, where that should really be part of my cooling tower water return. Let's see, cooling tower water return. That should take it out of that list. All right. And then the vents. Notice all I'm doing is clicking on that box here, coming over to here with the roller wheel, and then isolating that element. Let's see where those objects are. Okay. Looks like coming up out of the boiler. Nope. Well, maybe. Let's try it one more time. Maybe I'll do a BX and just cut to that box. Coming up off the chillers, there's some vent lines, which I would think they need to be in a classification. Well, maybe that is a good classification for them, but I have to be at least aware of them. All right. So, if I go back to my main view, and I would say, I'm going to ignore those vents for a minute, but if I went into filters, the real power of the filter is going to be understanding that I have these objects that are called pipe chilled water non. That's how I've turned them off. So I've said anything that doesn't have an abbreviation of CHW, it turns those off. But for this one, what I'd actually like is I'm going to go ahead and duplicate that and rename it. And I'm going to say, if these pipes are mechanical, and I'm going to go for all non-mechanical pipes. So now I'm going to write this filter to try to go get all non-mechanical pipes, pipe fittings, pipe accessories, because what you would notice is if I came down here, I have pipe accessories, pipe fittings, and pipes. But what I want to do is not what their system abbreviation is, but we just said the system classification. Now, you'll notice you can't get much here, so what I'll sometimes do is I'll say equals. Now I can actually see what different types of pipes that are in this project. And what we just learned is we only want pipes that are hydronic, supply, and return. So if I said if any pipe does not contain HYD hydronic, what I can now do is I can say mechanical or pipes mechanical non. Anything that's non-mechanical pipes, I want to put this down, I can now make their pattern, and I'll be honest with you, and I'll show you why they're not solid filled. The only thing I really need to change is I want to say I just want to see those objects, but I want them in as a lighter gray. So what's going to happen now? Okay. So we can see that it would probably be a good idea to apply that to my sprinkler heads as well, but you can see that they've all now, everything that's coming out of the mechanical piping file is all gray because I've just broke it down. So now what happens is this view really pops as far as what is being drawn in the mechanical file. So I want to continue on with the rest of my sheets so that I guess we'll just write the electrical one in the next video. So if I now go to my second level, okay, now this is where I can show you that my other pipes, you see how they're see-through, and this doesn't have the insulation applied to it. You know, the other things that I had cleaned up in that previous view. I wanted to show you how come these pipes, and the fire protection pipes, the mechanical and the fire protection pipes, why they're see-through. Well, that's because another very powerful thing is using the underlay tool. So what happens is, if I was to zoom in here and I was to say, go to my underlays and say mechanical piping, don't do it as an underlay, you will see then they would show up, okay? Now, we could have all of that still be solid and gray that out. That might be a neat look, but that wasn't what I'm after. What I'm after is really just making the active information in the file pop for that discipline. Okay, so I'm going to go turn that underlay back on, and this is where I could now go apply all those filters. What we would find out is more than likely there's no real filters applied here. So what I want to do is I want to go back to my area level 1. If I went to that view and I said create template from view, mechanical I actually want to probably call this just my mechanical system. This is a pain in the butt. I don't know why Revit still hasn't changed this, but I have to actually go click off all of these things because the only thing I want to apply is that filter. Okay? Ten years later, I'm still clicking all these boxes. Thanks, Autodesk. You know, wouldn't it be nice if you could select all of them and turn the box off, please? So this is my mechanical system. So now what happens is you would find, and I'm going to actually fix all of mine at the same time. That would be probably here. See, those are those mechanical levels. What I want to do is all of those, I want to apply that view template. That is mechanical system. It's just applying that filter override. If we looked at it, you would see it's fixing the insulation, taking the pipe mechanical non, and you see that it's probably best for me to spend a little time and get the objects that were also not there, which it really just appears to be the sprinkler heads. But what I'm looking at is from a long distance, does this show me what I'm after? And it does. It shows me just my mechanical information. The rest of the information's still there. You can still see your doors, and we'll be able to put the room tags in, but it makes my mechanical systems pop off the sheet. Okay? So, wasn't planning on it. This is the sort of a copy of what we're going to end up doing for our electrical. Let's see if we can now hopefully not find too many more errors. I don't want to really be proofing this. What I wanted to show you was, so this would be my mechanical roof. You see how from a distance the mechanical systems pop off, and I'm looking for anyone else's disciplines. Why are these things purple? That kind of stuff. I'll do that little bit of cleanup. Then you'll find that I go into my underground. Okay. I think that looks pretty valid. Oh, this is my mechanical underground and level 1 for area B, because this is all just in my courtyard. Like I said, this way you can at least see what I was planning. Then mechanical level 2. This is my level 2, as well as my area, my roof area. So these two should really be named mechanical level 2 and roof or something like that. But then you're going to see what I've done is then I break out just the disciplines. So this is just my ductwork. And you'll see that what I've actually done over here is I've given myself a schedule, so I know that I've got, how is this? This is my exhaust air. I've got, oh, these ducts do not have a classification. That's why they're up there. They need to be fixed. This 1, this 2, 2. So this actually, sometimes writing schedules can actually help you know where there was problems with the drawing. All of this is my exhaust air, so I can actually tell someone you got about 153 feet of exhaust air to run. And that's going to become real critical, because one of the things that we're going to do with this project is we're going to reroute for efficiency to save money on the amount of fittings as well as the amount of length of run of ductwork. Okay, so this is telling me that I got about 103 feet of return air, and I got about 123 feet. All in all, there's not that much ductwork in this project. Okay, now those schedules is only telling me for this level. So when I go to the next one, you'll see it does the same calculations. So in other words, we had 123 feet, and here we've got 320 feet. And see, we'll take all of that schedule and put all of that on the cover so that a person has an idea of how much they've got to run. But you can see if we change routing to make that more efficient, our goal is to try to drive these numbers down without increasing the complexity of the project. Okay, but this doesn't happen until you can simplify your view and get just the information that you're interested in out of it. Okay, so you can see with my mechanical file, I had ductwork, then I had some chilled water, which none of the chilled water went underground, so I didn't need to include that. You can see how this really quickly pops off the page of where the chilled water's got to go to and from, and is it connected, and what's going on, which is going to be real important, because that's how I'm going to generate this RFIs where I can see that things are not connected. But the gist of it is, so I've got my chilled water, then I've got my hot water, and you might decide that you want the hot water and chilled water on together. That I could very well understand that. Um, I just want there were so many problems with the model that I wanted to actually be able to see the individual disciplines. But I do think that if you start having too many disciplines, then it doesn't pop off the page. Okay? And I couldn't understand this project. There were some parts that we'll see that you can't understand because it's just too conglomerated. But at the same time, you'll notice that when I go in there, I can see all the other disciplines. So when someone says, why don't you just move this line? I don't have it turned off. I can at least say, you can see what else is in there. Where do you think that's going to go? Okay? So the idea is for me to be able to use these to help coordinate with the actual subcontractors. Okay? So I'm just clicking through these just to sort of refresh my memory because it's been a couple days since I've been on the project. Plus, like I said, I'm now going to try to set up the electrical to sort of mimic this. Okay, so then you can see I've got a water break, which is all basically at the back. And sometimes what you may want to do, and I can see that I probably want to do this in this case, is we may want to crop this a little bit differently because all the water break work is all done back at the back. Okay, so those drawings, that would be what most people would end up, they'd be happy if their plans looked like that. But I wasn't really after those. Those are for people who still think in forms of plans. What I was after was this. So my 900 series are my 3D series of drawings, which I don't know that anyone else is doing like that. Some people are including some 3D. Okay, so this one here, I think it would actually be beneficial for me to go take my other disciplines You see how my mechanical pipe is still having color, just like we did. See, there's a good spot for interferences. I'd really like my mechanical, I'd like that mechanical filter that I had on there, so that, oh, perfect, so there's none added to this. So more than likely, yeah, I would fix my insulation too. So what I might do is I might just add we want to look at all and all. I want my mechanical systems applied. And you'll see that all that stuff should go gray like it did in that other one. So that's the benefit to writing that filter and understanding. Let's see if this stuff all goes gray for me. Voila. So now I can see, and this first 3D view was nothing but everything that's in the project. Then you'll see that what I ended up doing was I end up doing my ductwork. And I do my ductwork stacked. Okay. And it looks like one of my views, it looks like all of my views got rotated. Sure enough does. So that's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. So what actually happens in these views is I had those views rotated like, would it be like that? It didn't remember any of them. I had those views rotated to that corner. No. Nope. It's unfortunate because that really... What happened was this view was the view I was after. That angle. Now it's hard because what you're going to see is there's actually two views in there. The one for the floor plan and the one for the mechanical. And what happened was this view, which I'll probably end up locking now that I see that I've got this problem, which is a problem from Autodesk. What I want to do is I want to do a I guess you can't do that when it's locked. Interesting. You can't. So what I want to do is I want to set this current view as home, that angle. Then I have to go, then I can lock it. And what's happened is Autodesk has forgotten this second view's location. So I want this to be home. And you see how it popped right up there underneath it? So for some reason, if you don't lock the views, they forget their orientation. It's an absolute bug in the software. It's been there at least 8 years as far as I know. But hey, still not fixed in 2023. Not a surprise. Once again, thanks for helping us, Autodesk. So you can see my upper view retained it, which you can see my upper view was not locked. But for some reason, the bottom view did not retain it. So I need to go home. Then I need to lock that orientation so that it doesn't do that to me again. And I'll be honest, I don't remember that I did that. With this one, did I lock it? I did. So we want that to go to a home view. Then we want to lock it. And then activate this view and let it go home. And lock it. And you can see what I was after. Oop, maybe not. You can see what I was after was showing you what's on the first floor. But notice I've cut the walls down to a lower level so that you can see what equipment they attach to. Did the same thing for the second floor and the same thing for the roof. Let's see if my mechanical piping had problems too. Nope, that still looks like it applies. So the idea is, I then want my first discipline to be everything that's mechanical pipe in this file. And then what I end up doing is showing you the chilled water and then my chilled water stacked, which I would guess that these are probably going to have that rotational problem. Sure enough, they did it. So I don't know why those other objects lost that orientation. It's very unfortunate, but it's what's happened. Okay, so this can so that the idea is you can actually sort of see, oh, all right, I got it. We're coming up out of here, and then we're going down to here, and then that goes down into my mechanical room so that I can see how that routing is, so I can find a better route for it. Because I'll be honest with you, what I've learned in this project is this area right here through the spine of the building outside of this wall just isn't gonna work. They've tried to put 10 pounds of stuff in a 5-pound bag. So we're gonna really try to solve some serious high-level problems, but I couldn't see those high-level problems without having these sheets set up this way. Once again, I could see the justification to putting the hot and the cold together. But you can see what flow I've tried to create is that so that you can see clearly. Wait a second. What are you connecting to down here? We can go find and go look and see that there's a hot water heater there. We can go see why is this coming in, this not coming in. You can do a better job of exploring your project. Okay? So that's how I want to set up the electrical in a similar format, and that's what we're going to do with the next video. And I promise you I did not plan for this video to take this amount of time. So here's my cooling water stacked. Okay. You'll see we'll have to tighten up some of the schedules. And then this is my water break, so I know where my water break is going. And the water break is a good one, if you look at it in this format, for you to be able to go in here and visually track. I mean, this is basically your riser diagram, but your riser diagram's on steroids. Okay? So, we're going to try to do that exact same thing, but a little bit different as it pertains to electrical in the next video. And I hope you can at least see the beginnings of how these view filters work and how I'm able to attain some of those looks on these stacked files and whatnot. Because, you know, I could maybe show all of the pipe, all the other discipline pipe, but you'll notice that I probably turned that off with a little bit of work on these view filters. See, I said one of the things I did was any mechanical equipment that is not part of the cooling tower. Okay? This is only the cooling tower equipment. Okay? I use some things like pipe all and duct all in order to turn all the pipes and all the ducts potentially off. Okay? Or maybe make all the pipes one color. Sometimes what you're going to do is you're going to sort of stack how these filters work, and that gets into a real tricky one, which I want to cover in the next video when I'm writing in. That is, if you turn the transparency of something on a lower level, you can't turn it off on an upper level. And realize when I'm saying that, what that means is you go up this page. The first thing that happens is the duct is changed in color and whatever. Then the next filter applies it. If I change the color of an object in this one and then change the color of that same object in this one's going to take precedent as you go up to the top of the page. So we'll sort of review all of that and get a little bit deeper into view filters, and you'll see how I'm going to try to make that electrical project pop a little bit more. Hope you join me for that one. Sorry this one got so long-winded.